Greetings, beloved. Welcome back to my channel. I am Anna Soul, and this is Living with Soul, where we discuss all things transformation from victim to victor, one thought at a time. So today's video is inspired by life, by the ups and downs of life. I had a moment yesterday where a lot of devastation came up, and while I allowed myself to feel it, I also, in the back of my mind, was observing the moment and reminding myself of all of the things that I logically know throughout, going through the feelings. And a big thing that really came up was this fear of being alone. This fear that I was suddenly alone in the world, that those that I cherished the most, I could no longer reach due to separation, due to just a lack of understanding. It felt really isolating. And I remember way back when that someone had said to me, someone that I learned from spiritually had said, the reason why we get so upset or worried about being lonely is because we've forgotten that we came into this world alone. And it's so interesting because growing up, that was something that was said in a fearful way. So my inner child, gets a little anxious at the idea of coming into the world alone. But when you remember the idea, the feeling of spiritual love, the knowledge behind being a soul and arriving in this world to learn various lessons and have various opportunities to experience joy, it makes a lot of sense. We come into this world alone, unattached, unexpected, unassuming, and we've kind of forgotten, what that subtle region or what that soul world is like, where home is. And so when we come into this life, it feels like all of this is what's real, all of this is what matters. We're programmed to believe that the life that we experience in this lifetime is what we should identify with. And so in a moment where, you experience a breakup, or there's separation from your family, or you lose your job, it feels all consuming. It feels like, man, I'm really alone. But the truth is, we come into this world alone. We're never truly alone on this planet. We still have our connection to the divine. And that is something that is an incredible source of strength, an incredible source of power. And in saying this, it isn't to ignore feelings, ignore emotions as they come up. I mean, eventually, I've been told, the peak of spiritual knowledge is understanding that you no longer need to even identify with feelings of sorrow, because you are so much more powerful than that. But in the meantime, on the way there, it's perfectly okay. And I think it's actually perfectly normal to let those feelings come up, to allow the body to bring out those feelings of pain so that we can honor them, acknowledge them, so that we can sit with them, identify the source, and release them. And eventually no longer identify with being someone who is suffering, no longer identify with being broken up with, or being someone who lost a job, or being someone who no longer has connection to their family. Like, all of those labels, all of those thoughts are the source of our suffering. If we are able to find, peace and acceptance in each experience, the suffering is minimized. The suffering ceases to exist. It's all about what you choose to believe, what you choose to identify with. That's what you create. The more that I identify with someone who has lost a job, the more that I identify with being a victim, the more that I recreate more feelings of being a victim and recreate more of that in my reality, because that's all that I can see, that's all that I'm focusing on. But as I remember that, okay, I'm having this experience of losing a job, it doesn't take away from who I am as a soul. I am still empowered. I am still at peace. The more that I'm able to open my eyes to the opportunity that arises with job loss, I can look at this moment as a transition. I can look at this moment as an opportunity to rest before my next journey, as an opportunity to see myself as worthy, to reevaluate my skills and my strengths, and to root in that. It's always where you want to focus your attention, where you want to focus your energy. And so suffering in this way becomes purposeful. It becomes something that we can use as an opportunity to find our greatest blessings. I no longer need to look at every moment of suffering as though I am having the worst life possible, imaginable. I can look at each moment of suffering as an opportunity, as a blessing in disguise, until I can train my eyes to see the gift that it truly is. To see that each opportunity, each challenge gives me a chance to accept all that this experience of life brings. The range of emotions. I mean, what a gift it is to be able to experience all of these emotions. The idea is that we come from the soul world where we are conscious, we are aware, yet unable to feel. And so coming into this life, we have the opportunity to feel everything. And that can be beautiful if you observe it, if you detach from it and observe it for what it is. When you over-identify with it and see this as all there is, then it becomes a challenge. So if you are experiencing anything that feels difficult, feels challenging, try and remember this. Try and remember that it is a moment and that you don't have to rush into the healing process. You don't have to feel positive about it, but you can use it as an opportunity to observe the emotions that are coming up, to detach from those emotions, and to train your mind to look at the gift that awaits you. With love, with peace, with gratitude. Om Shanti.